What is poppin', beautiful people? You are joining me from this cherry patch that we've been clearing. Nature is the greatest metaphor in life, right? It's the greatest teacher, and it's the greatest demonstrator. Because again, nature is not something different from me. Nature is me. So today, as the title will probably show, let's ask ourselves, what's important to a man that is in the desert? Water or gold? We attribute value to all these things, but a lot of the things that we attribute value to are completely unnecessary. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to think about reorganizing the priorities in your head, right? Because it's just like this cherry patch we have at the land of Adamastera, the B side of the land, the other side of the land of the street. What are the priorities? Well, there are cherry trees blooming. There's a bunch of other trees, like these ones that have been drying out, that are, blocking out the sun, that are in the way of picking the trees. So, there should be a natural action that arises when there is a need or a issue or a problem that needs to be dealt with. And now we can sit back, complain, and think and talk about what to do with it, or we can act. And that's again why we have to reevaluate and prioritize what is really important. So again, if you're deserted in the middle of nowhere and you're dehydrated and you have a gold coin, chances are you're going to trade that gold coin if someone walks by with water. That's how valuable water will be to you. Now let's put this into perspective. We are entering a brave new world, even if it's not as gruesome, or maybe it's more gruesome than we think it's going to be, where, and you can already see it in the markets, and the price is going up and all this kind of stuff, where food is going to be scarce, at least to those who are going to be organic, those who are not going to kowtow to the system. Something's coming. And we went to a market yesterday, and what I saw in that market was all these people that say they love freedom, but still something is missing. There's a certain sense of dis-ease within them, whether it's the food, whether it's the lifestyle, whether it's the choices of who they surround themselves with, but I'm thinking, just like in these works like Divergent and Hunger Games and all this kind of stuff, we're going to have to work together. Because again, it's us against the system, which is, the system is ourselves, right? The system is what we have created, right? This lifestyle away from that which is natural, right? With the police, with the psych wards, with the doctors, with the hospitals, with the prisons, with the, all of these things, with the medicines, with the artificial chemicals, with the GMOs, right? Different from hybrid GMOs. All of these things are us, are products of us. Education systems, curriculums, right? So, in the same regard, it's our responsibility to respond to that, and to, again, pave a way and create a way out of that. And so, yes, it is a certain kind of rise against the system, but at the same time, you're not rising against anyone. Nature doesn't need to fight anything. Yes, it will create certain defense mechanisms and, do these things, but nature is, independent of rebellion, if that makes sense. One's inner nature doesn't arise out of reactionary, circumstances. So, again, we return back, and let's start from very simple terms. again, a man in a desert prefers water, or needs water over needing gold. So if you're in the concrete jungle right now and the matrix collapses, right? If you're going to buy food every single day and you're not thinking in terms of bulk, right? The best way I can explain this to you is if you're not thinking in terms of a ship, right? And that perhaps this ship is going to be lost at sea for some time, and that you need to navigate your way till you get to a destination where you can dock and resupply, or find the means to survive, you're in trouble, to be quite frank with you. And so again, if you're in the concrete jungle right now, if you're in the city, get your money or get whatever you need to do and get the heck out, because it's unsustainable. That whole system, whether it's waste management, whether it's how they supply their foods, with huge trucks, there's no soil there, there's no fruit trees there, or very little, right? The air is bad, the water situation is horrible. Everything in that system points to a crash. The economics, the inflation, the constant printing of money, like everywhere you look in that concrete jungle is written, again, Brave New World 1984 society, where basically they're going to be controlling people on virtuality and illusion. So if this is a world that you want to be a part of, you can keep living in La La Land. You can keep going to the store and buying these, 400 gram, 500 gram packets of food every 2 days, and use their roads, and obviously, think that you're going to always be able to have fuel at a low cost, and it's not even that low anymore, right? And always have access and authority to drive your own car with the legality and all this kind of stuff. Really, you're fooling yourself if you think you can live organically, but at the same time, again, maintain this unsustainable lifestyle, this pursuit of happiness lifestyle in the concrete jungle. So I was thinking about doing a video like this, but this guy named Bob, who's coming to our community soon, he's a cowboy. He brought up two very good points in a community discussion we had yesterday. And one of which was, he sees these people that have so much money, and he was talking about how he's selling his cattle, and he's finding the right people, and blah blah blah. But he's seen these like business tycoon people who make tons, but they're so unhappy. It's this moment-to-moment self-gratification, instant gratification, unfulfilling pursuit of pleasure, pursuit of happiness kind of lifestyle. And it's not fulfilling, right? Whereas we talk about what Sebi was talking about, again, in the jungle, where there was nature, where there was nakedness, right? Where there wasn't shame, where there wasn't guilt, where there wasn't sin, where there was no preacher, where there was no idea of religion. Living was religion. You see what I'm saying? Living fully, living naturally, eating from the fruit as a fruitarian, eating God-given foods was the religion. You didn't have to make a concept of God and then confess about all these sins that are unnaturally formed in these medicines, these doctors, these curriculums, these, jails, these, prostitution, all this kind of stuff. So, in a repressive society, what do you think is going to happen? So anyhow, that's the society that we've created. It's our responsibility, right? So again, Bob, this cowboy, he was talking about how there are these rich people, ultra rich, they're, again, business tycoons, raking in huge amounts of money, but what are they lacking? Joy. It might be this moment-to-moment fleeting happiness, but what are they lacking in their lives? Fulfillment. Because the only way you can fulfill yourself and fulfill your cells and fulfill the family and fulfill the community is nature. That's the only way. What's behind me here? Cherry blossoms. That's what truly makes you see yourself in nature and makes you feel fulfilled. The concrete jungle is unfulfilling. You may feel happy when you get a big paycheck, but the whole process of money, that's another thing Sebi was talking about. There was no money, right? The whole process of money is unfulfilling. Now, there is a reality right now where we do need money to buy supplies. We do need money to operate the ship, right? Especially in current circumstances. I think there will be a point, perhaps 3-4 years down the line, where money is, seldom used or completely obsolete. Because again, it's their money, it's their debt money, which brings us to silver, which brings us to gold, and then which brings us to the desert analogy. You want water, you want hydration, you want to actually survive, right? It's not as, this monetary value is not that important. What do you really need? Good soil, fruit trees, grains perhaps. Look into Yaki Awakened, right? I've cut down the Sebi list for myself to quinoa, teff, amaranth, arrowroot, certain few other things. Because again, rye and spelt have gluten in them. Oh my gosh, and I was a big proponent of that, but I'm completely humbled. So I die to that previous identity and I'm reborn, right? After I see the facts. And we have to all be like that, right? This is what responsibility is. You see or hear the truth, you feel it in your heart, and you act. If you don't act, if you know the truth and you act, inconsistent to that, it just kills yourself, right? So in the same sense, if you're in the matrix, if you're a huge business tycoon making thousands and thousands, and you know that this is not making you happy, you know that it's not fulfilling your soul, what's the next step? The next step is utilizing that artificial junk and putting it into the organic, right? Finding people like us, buying land with us, buying trees, buying fruit, buying supplies, whether that's grains, right? Think in terms of a ship, right? We don't actually have to be in a ship. We could be in a ship later on down the future, and we could be, traveling the seas and navigating the seas as such. But right now I'm speaking more in terms of a metaphorical, right? If you're traveling to a destination which is a land without money, a land without police, a land without government, a land without medicine, a land without pharmaceutical, a land without jails, a land without prisons, a land without psych wards, a land without prostitution, a land without shame, a land without guilt, a land without the pursuit of pleasure, right? Then, again, you should be thinking in terms of fueling the organic electric race, right? Fueling the alkaline electric movement, again, which means help people like us. And, that's actually another thing Bob was talking about. I mean, it's amazing. He's just changing 180 degrees, he's having like a complete revolution in his mind when before he was just thinking work, be an asshole to my wife, live the American dream, you know what I mean? And now he's thinking in terms of, no, work together. Don't just be a lone wolf, right? Don't just, care for just your own family, but think in terms of, again, the people that want to achieve the same thing, which is returning to nature, returning to the ancient path, returning to the ancient ways. And really, I think, people like Sebi, people like Yaki, melanated people are going to really help us in this regard, right? Not that melanated people are better, right? Some people are of the school of thought that, the blonde hair, blue-eyed is the cleanest, least mucoid, whatever. To me, there is no such thing as better. Better is such a, the whole idea of comparison, better and worse, is stupid. But I will say there is something to the fact that maybe the melanated people are the more organic, right? And then we are the more, specialized and quote-unquote mutated, not in a bad sense, right? Same, now that I'm listening to Yaki, I realize the whole idea of hybrid, I did know till now that this whole cross-pollination did happen in nature, but now he's even showing me that some things, intelligently hybridized, make sense. As long as the after product of digestion yielding is alkaline and there's no GMO involved, right, where there's no genetic, ribosome, deoxynucleic ribosome, being screwed with and all this kind of stuff, then it could, the natural cross-pollination could be a good thing. In the same sense, perhaps, again, the melanated peoples will show us the way back to the jungle, back to the organic, back away from the technology, away from the government, away from all this cacophony, right? That being said, I'm sure the Anuna, as the Jason research reveals, and the more white people or less melanated people. By the way, we all have Anuna DNA, even the black people now, because we've been mixing for generations, right? But perhaps the more Anuna similar people will bring in the tech and bring in that civilization element to a rather disorganized matriarchal world. But again, so it's about working together. And this is what Bob, the cowboy, was bringing up, was that really now it's about finding people that you can work together with, right? There's no use working with people that see every opportunity to dismantle your good works, or to discourage your good works, or to castigate your good works, right? If you are with people that constantly condemn that which is helping the entire community, either get the hell out or just keep acting on your own. Keep in action, because some people, their whole lives are based on other people's actions. You'll notice this about haters, right? Haters have to create, some form of fear, right? Some form of poison, some form of mental, psychological, but also a verbal poison to feed off that energy from, right? So they'll base their entire lives on someone else and reacting to someone else. Now, what is an action that's different from this fear, right? Which is action itself, which is doing what needs to be done, which again has no choice involved, right? Is nature, is doing or is helping and aiding nature. And in helping and aiding nature, we help ourselves, because there is no separation between us and nature. So those who want to continually act out of the unnatural, right, this artificial realm, whether it's abusing cannabis, whether it's not thinking in terms of this ship, right, this desert analogy, thinking in terms of hoarding all this value that they don't need, right, commercialism, materialism, all these things that we've made up, that that in the jungle that wouldn't take place, all these GMOs, everything, these people are going to crash. So it's best in everyone's it's in everyone's interest to let those people crash on their own and just get out of their way, right? Because there's no use continually involving yourself in someone's life that is confused, that is conflicted 24/7, right? So again, as Bob was saying, it's crucial to find the people that want to help themselves, to find the people that are humble enough to say, I was wrong, right? Just like I said with Yaki, I was wrong, guys. It seems to me broccoli is actually good for you. It's a poison, and I've theorized this for a long time, especially with psychedelic mushrooms and stuff. It's a poison when ingested, like all herbs, right? Because there's mechanisms in it to protect itself and so on and so forth. But after digested, or after it goes through your body, that poison actually makes you detox. So it makes you release toxins. So in moderation, right, with herbs, with broccoli, with all these kinds of things, with vegetation, actually you become healthier. And I could point you to these studies and all this kind of stuff that he's showing you with these, what is it, FRA something, I don't know. He gets so nitty gritty into the details, but if to break it down simply, these things that at first glance seem not so great to the body, in the end, right, after digested, can be good. So now I'm starting to relearn everything. But the point being of saying that to you guys is that if you want to do the right thing, you have to be humble, which means you have to know that you can be wrong. Some people don't want to ever be wrong. Some people don't want to ever learn the right way, right? And so with those people, you have to slowly sift them out and separate them. Again, this is the great divide. This is the apocalypse. This is the revealing. There are people that will never admit being wrong. And to those people, you don't even associate with them. You don't need to even deal with them, right? There are people that won't want to heal themselves. There are people that want to be sick, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, whether it's anything. So again, I hear that rye, spelt, and kamut are out. I drop them instantly. There is no hesitation. There is no attachment. I don't need to cry. I don't need to, I'm happy. I'm happy that this brother named Yaki brought forth all this, love. Because that's what love is truth. And in that truth we shine, right? We liberate ourselves. So it's just a matter of, releasing the truth. It's just a matter of, not hiding from the truth. So these kinds of things. So again, Bob, great point. Thank you for bringing it up. Community. That's the most valuable thing in this deserted land, in the desert, right? Is the right people. Because if you're with the wrong people, man, your own community can be your worst enemy, right? So it is crucial to find the people that are willing to change their diet so radically, right? So completely that they're not risking any ingestion of any poison. Because if they ingest poison, who gets the brunt of it? The community, right? So there's that diet part of it too. But also the people that are not willing, or that are willing to be humble enough to let other people do what they do best, which is another thing that we didn't really touch on this talk, but he was kind of talking about or scratching the surface of how, working alone, you can only go so far, right? And I actually heard in some kind of a startup thing, if you want to go quick, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, right? So in this sense, not everyone is good at everything, right? It is good to be a jack of all trades, but specializing allows for a lot of conservation of energy, which is why, the consciousness within us is all the same, right? This idea of individuality is so stupid, but at the same time, we are different. And I admit that. Some people have brown skin, some people have white skin, some people are tall, some people are short, some people are long, some people are, stout, whatever it is. We have different skills. Some people are good with technology, some people are good with working with the land. And so in not seeing this as conflict, and not seeing difference as conflict, and actually seeing the unity that underlies indifference, you're able to collect and see and find the best people, right? The people that are not always going to look in terms of he's doing more work than me, he's doing less work than me, I'm better than him, I'm worse than him, I'm more black than him, I'm more white than him, whatever it is. I'm more yellow than him, I'm more red than him, I'm more pink, I'm more, purple, whatever it is. So finding the right type of people is so important, folks. So there's community. That's probably the most important thing, is the right type of people, right? Because, I'll talk about this land a bit, the Adamastera land. Right now, we're talking in terms of settling down here, but if we're not attached, right? If we find a better land that's more fertile, that's better for plants, that's better for nature, all of these things, we go there, so we keep our options open, right? Because again, as long as you have the right people, you can go anywhere. You can make paradise anywhere. But if you have the wrong people, you can make hell anywhere, right? No matter how far into nature you go, you can still bring the elements of the control system, the control matrix, the constant conflict, fear, authority producing system in your mind, right? And this conforming and this accepting and this denying and all this kind of stuff, right? And then religion starts all over again as a process of thought, as a process of thinking. So to go somewhere free of thinking, to go somewhere to paradise, to go somewhere in nature, to go somewhere where humility is, you need to take humble people. So like I was saying with the Azores video, right now we're looking for the scouts, and we're looking for the people that want to help the scouts, because they see and they realize the responsibility of helping the pioneers that are going to bring in and actually open the portal for those, right, to leave and exit the Matrix. Just like we saw in those late Matrix films, the crew just gets bigger and bigger. It starts with just Trinity and Morpheus not going anywhere because they don't have Neo. They get Neo, so they become the One and they become the Trinity. And then suddenly there's more and more people that are awakened, that see what Neo has done and all this kind of stuff. And then it gets bigger and bigger. But you again see in Io and Zion that there's still the element of the Matrix outside of the Matrix, because people are always going to be controlled within their own minds, even if they're not physically controlled within the system. So all of these things. But again, point being, you have to find the right people first, number one. Number two, let's think food, right? If most people are not ready to starve, most people are not ready to fast, most people are not breatharians yet, right? And fruit is very expensive right now. So again, with the Adamastera property, we're thinking 2-3 years down the line, maybe four to six, or even 7 to 10 when it comes to date palms and all this kind of stuff. We're thinking that we need to acquire, for instance, like quinoa, garbanzo, the grains that Yaki approves, right? What do you call it? Amaranth, whatever is necessary in bulk. So we're not constantly reliant on going to the matrix so often. At the same time, we're getting low prices. And again, think in terms of stocking a ship. I'm sure the literal ship will come, but again, there's a relationship with nature. There's a citizenship within the community. There's a ship involved. And so what is that ship? What is that exchange? Again, we need to think in terms of, again, some people are not ready to fast. I don't think I'm ready to go on a full-on fast yet. I can go on full fruit. I can go on, grains if necessary, but I don't think I'm ready for a fast just yet. So until we get to that point where the fruit trees are plentiful, right, where we can be actually completely self-sustainable without the matrix system, without money, with just bartering, we have to think in these ship terms, right? So when a crew travels from, let's say, Britain to America, right, they need to have enough food on board. They need to have enough water on board. They need to think about all these things of that transition to the promised land, right? So in the same sense, we need to be acquiring large bulk amounts of, for instance, quinoa or garbanzo or approved grains like teff. Ooh, that's another one I missed, a big one, teff, amaranth, arrowroot, all these things, and get ready to start, again, shifting our energy and our artificial money and our artificial electricity, our artificial value into the organic, start to plant these trees, start to, pick fruit or buy fruit also, especially dried stuff that can last long. For instance, figs. We're going to be picking so many figs this season and just dry them so we have them as storage and we can just keep eating them and sell some as well. We need to be thinking in these terms that there is a reality of where you are right now. We can talk about all these idealisms of the promised land, of the self-sustainable land, all this kind of stuff, but there is a distinct and real reality that we are faced with right now. So I want to invite you to think about where you are right now and where the direction is heading. Because the only place where you can steer the trajectory of your life is this moment. Right? There's no moment outside of right now where you can make a change. Right? So all that really matters is what you do right now. And that's why I'm saying don't surround yourself with people that never take action right now. Right? That spend their whole lives wasting away on what other people take action, right? On how other people take action, and either support that or disagree with that or hate on that or whatever. What I'm saying is take action right now. Help people like us right now. Find organic solutions with us. Find, like wells with us. Find fruit trees with us. Find the right climate with us. Find land with good soil with us. Find and help us, support us now. Because that is what's going to really make the difference. That's what's going to give us the push of, again, the Israelites. We are the real Israelites. We are the 12 tribes or the 13 tribes, right? We are the people of God. And the people of God must act now with response, ability, right? We are able in response. So if you're not ready to respond, you're not ready for community. And so again, the community must be of those people that are ready to respond to anything. Even if it means suddenly Adamastera land doesn't work out, suddenly Portugal doesn't work out, suddenly we go to Africa, suddenly we go to Azores, we have to be ready for anything. So let us all, I invite everyone to think in terms of let's be ready for anything. Let's have enough water in the desert to get us out of this deserted land, right? The clean water, the fruit, the hydration, the herbs, the grains, whatever it is we need, we must allocate all of our resources to get this fruit forest, to get this paradise going, to get Garden of Eden going, because everything else that is unnatural is a complete waste of time. So I know I've been rapping there, so I'm going to take a minute just to think if I've missed anything. Yeah, let that soak in. So yeah, I'm not really interested in working with people that don't have this sense of urgency of action, right? Uh, that want to just, superficially substitute their traumas and their addictions with, pretend and spiritual fronting and talking about concepts and stuff. I don't care about people who talk about concepts. Again, I care about people who have action, really. And again, the people that have action often are those that forgive themselves, which means that die to who they were in the past. Hence, they've forgiven themselves. They've given before themselves, right? They've let go. That's the true sense of love, is letting go. Because if you really love someone, you let them go and let them come back to you. It's same with like a pet, same with an animal. Freedom is implied in love. So again, if you're free from your own prejudices and your own judgments and your own, all these psychological dependencies that you've built up over time, that you've accumulated over time, this identity that you've built up over time, then you're ready. Again, because you've forgiven yourself, and then you're humble enough to learn. So if you're humble enough to learn, if you're humble enough to contribute, if you're humble enough to be a part of a community that's actually looking for the right answers at the real time, questioning at the real time, then seriously, it's time we work together. It's time we join. It's time we unite. And it's time that, not that we fight against a system, but that we create something completely new that's outside of any fight altogether, right? Again, peace will respond in a time of violence. Peace will respond to that violence, but peace is completely unrelated to violence. Peace doesn't arise out of violence. This is what you have to get out of your head, right? If you're constantly thinking of opposer opposed, right, thinker and thought, right, I'm separate from my thought, you're going to be in conflict for the rest of your life. I am the thought. I am both the opposer and the opposed. And in seeing that futility of opposition, of opposing any system, then a new blossoming, a new system arises, a new system takes place, which is natural. Any opposition, any conflict is entirely unnatural. Any disease is entirely unnatural and illusory, right? Yes, the illusion is very real for some people, right? The concrete jungle lifestyle is very real for some people, but we have to realize that this fake pretend society is reality, right? And so in the same sense, if we see that, if we know that, and we know that that's obviously unsustainable, the sustainable society must come into place naturally, with intuition, without a choice, without effort, right? Because it's love. Love is not an effort, right? There is no effort in love. So if I really love myself, if I really love the community, we'll do what we have to do, and we'll be okay. Because again, in love, there's no fear. So how can you be dragged down if you're not fearful, right? The people that will be dragged down with that unsustainable system are fueled by fear, are fueled by, I need to make this much money. I need to go and hustle. I need to exploit people. I need to, say that I'm treating people and actually kill these people. So think in terms of that too, that this movement, this community cannot be a community that arises out of rebellion or opposition. Not that we can't take action to defend ourselves, not that we can't, take the adequate response when we are attacked, so on and so forth, but our movement is completely unarising or not arising from opposition, from conflict, from confusion, from choice. Because we don't have a choice but to return to nature, we examine the facts. So I'll end it there. So, and right before I end it again, think in terms of, when you're in a desert, are you going to buy silver? Are you going to buy gold? Or do you want water? Right? Are you going to constantly be thinking in terms of money, or are you going to get the money, get the bag from the matrix and put it into trees, put it into land, put it into soil, put it into food, put it into grains, put it where you know, right, that the ship will get to the promised land. So let's examine these relationships and stop pretending to be spiritual.